You've prayed for something specific, maybe even something you felt was absolutely the right thing, totally justified. And then, well, things unfold in a way that just leaves you scratching your head. A bit confused, perhaps. We often get this really clear picture in our minds of what we want, what we expect to happen, especially when we truly believe we're, on the right side of things. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into a source that offers a remarkably fresh perspective on this very experience. Our material today is from Rhapsody of Realities by Pastor Chris. We're looking at the entry for July 5th, which is titled Understanding the Father's Heart. And our mission really is to explore what it actually means to grasp the core nature of a higher power, that fundamental character, and how that understanding, that grasp, can profoundly shift our own expectations. Our whole outlook, maybe even the way we approach prayer itself.
Yeah, and what's really interesting right off the bat is how this source just plunges us into a very practical, very human dilemma. What happens when sincere prayers from different people or even different groups seem to be completely pulling in opposite directions? It doesn't really shy away from that awkwardness. It challenges our usual assumptions, maybe, about how divine intervention works, and it pushes us towards thinking about a broader, more consistent view. It really makes you ask, okay, if there are conflicting prayers, how does an all-loving, all-powerful being respond? How does that work?
That's the big question, isn't it? How does an unchanging purpose deal with all these conflicting human desires, even the really well-intentioned ones? So to help us unpack that, the source gives us a really vivid, kind of real-world example. Imagine a city, or maybe a whole nation, and you've got one group of Christians praying really earnestly for a specific government official to be removed. They feel completely right about it. But at the exact same time, you have other Christians, maybe people working closely with that leader, part of their team perhaps praying every single day for that same leader to succeed, to stay in office. And the source points out, while the group wanting change might feel totally justified, the divine perspective also considers the prayers of those standing in faith for the leader. It's not presented as a simple choice between the two.
Exactly. It's not just about who shouts loudest or even who seems most right in the moment. In this scenario, it reveals something really crucial about what the source calls the fatherly nature of God. It suggests that divine actions aren't solely driven by our expectations, no matter how righteous we think we are. Instead, they seem to operate from this deeper place, these consistent inherent qualities like love, mercy, and this unwavering purpose. So this means actions might look different from what we predict, precisely because the divine thinks differently, as the source puts it. It's rooted in something bigger. It's not about ignoring prayers, but about this larger, overarching, benevolent intention.
That is a really big shift in perspective. It forces you to look at your own motives, doesn't it? And this next part, this is where it really clicked for me. The source uses this powerful biblical example that just perfectly illustrates this whole thing. James and John in Luke chapter 9. Remember, they were seriously upset because some people in a Samaritan village didn't welcome Jesus properly. And their reaction, they asked, and this is a direct quote, "Lord, wilt thou that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elias did?" Wow. I mean, that's quite a request. You can almost feel their frustration, that desire for instant justice.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very human reaction in a way. But Jesus's response, it goes straight to the heart of their attitude, the source calls it their manner of spirit. He tells them, pretty bluntly, "You know not what manner of spirit you're of." And then, the crucial part, "For the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them." This specific line, "not come to destroy, but to save," is presented as the absolute core. The consistent heartbeat, if you like, of the Father's heart and purpose. And if you look at the Master's ministry, he consistently showed this love, this mercy. It wasn't just a one-off comment, it was the guiding principle. It's this consistent, benevolent core, always aiming for salvation, for bringing things into alignment. Like a loving parent, maybe, whose deepest wish is for their child's well-being, even when the child pushes back.
Okay, so if that's the bedrock, this unchanging divine purpose, always merciful, always loving, always seeking to save and align, what does that actually mean for us, for our prayers? Does it change what makes a prayer effective?
I think it absolutely does redefine it, or at least refine our understanding. The source seems to suggest that understanding this consistent saving nature is key. It helps us appreciate why things might not always pan out the way we expect, even when our desires feel completely right and justified. It shifts the focus, doesn't it? Away from our immediate demands, however justified they feel, towards aligning ourselves with this broader, constant commitment to saving, to bringing individuals into his divine plan. And the really profound implication here is that by truly getting this, by grasping this consistent nature and engaging with this kind of spiritual guidance, you can increasingly learn to know and walk in what the Source calls a perfect will and plan in every situation. It doesn't make our prayers less important, not at all. It makes them potentially more effective, more directed, more precise, because they start aligning with that fundamental, unwavering purpose. So it becomes less about trying to change God's mind, perhaps, and more about aligning our mind, our spirit, with His.
So we've taken this deep dive into a really powerful idea, that understanding the consistent nature of a higher power, this character defined by love, mercy, and a purpose focused on saving, can radically change how we see things, how we perceive divine actions, and maybe even how we pray. It really shifts the focus from our immediate wants, even the justified ones, towards this bigger, unwavering commitment, saving and aligning.
Yeah, and if we zoom out just a little bit, this whole exploration really challenges us, doesn't it? It makes you consider, how might adopting this perspective, really focusing on that consistent saving purpose rather than our specific moment-by-moment expectations or our desire for immediate justice, how might that fundamentally change the way we deal with unexpected challenges? Or maybe even more pointedly, how could it change how we interact with people whose prayers, whose deepest desires seem to conflict completely with our own?
Definitely something for you to mull over as you go about your day.
For more information on how you can grow spiritually using Rhapsody of Realities, please visit our website, www.rhapsodyofrealities.org, or you can also visit rin.rhapsodyofrealities.org/salvation. Thank you.